Cherry Blossom the hedgehog who sat in the garden. Cherry Blossom. In a quiet corner of Bramble Whisper Woods, where the trees hummed softly at dusk, lived a small family of hedgehogs, Daddy Hedgehog, Mummy Hedgehog, and their bright, laughing daughter, Willow. Their lives had been filled with little triumphs. Willow's first day at school, Mummy Hedgehog knitted scarf winning second prize at the autumn fair, and Daddy Hedgehog fixing the leaky roof by himself even though he was scared of heights. But behind the laughter, there were worries too. Bills that piled too high, debts that nipped at their paws, and long nights where Dad stayed awake sorting out paperwork by lantern light. Daddy Hedgehog had been working on something special, something he hoped would make everything better. A new burrow. A safer, sunnier place closer to Mummy Hedgehog's friends so she wouldn't feel so lonely or stretched thin. He imagined the joy on her face when he finally told her, "It's ready. We can move." But life didn't wait for his dream. One cold morning, Mummy Hedgehog, overwhelmed by everything she'd kept bottled inside, whispered that she needed space. Time, room to breathe and figure out who she was beneath the weight of expectations. But before Daddy Hedgehog could show her the nearly finished paperwork or the burrow he'd spent months securing, she walked away, with Willow beside her. Daddy Hedgehog didn't chase. He wanted to. Every quill on his little back ached too. But he loved her too much to pull her back before she was ready. Days passed, then weeks. Daddy Hedgehog stayed alone in the old burrow, surrounded by half-sorted stacks of forms and the faint smell of the lavender candles Mummy Hedgehog used to light. He knew Mummy Hedgehog needed time. But there was something else. A male friend in her life who slowly began crossing lines, stepping into spaces Daddy Hedgehog once held dear. The thought stung, but he told himself, if she needs someone, I won't stand in the way. Still, deep down, he feared what the signs whispered. I may never win back the love of my life. One evening, while the lantern flickered low, Daddy Hedgehog took a small acorn inked pen and began writing Willow a letter. Not because he was leaving, but because fear told him that life sometimes carried loved ones far, far away. He wrote gently, slowly, My dearest Willow, if one day I cannot stand beside you, know this. I will always be there in my own way. When you walk out of secondary school on your last day, I'll feel the pride in the wind. When you open your GCSE results, I'll be cheering so loudly the trees will shake. When your heart breaks for the first time, look for me in the quiet moments, I will be there. On your wedding day, I may not sit in the front row, but I promise I will be with you, in soul and in heart. And when you hold your own little hoglet for the first time, my love will wrap around you both like a warm blanket. You will always be able to find me. He folded the letter and tucked it inside a tiny wooden box, carved with flowers. Life changed slowly after that. Mummy Hedgehog and Willow built a new routine in their new village. Daddy Hedgehog didn't blame them. He wanted them to feel safe, supported, understood. Things he hadn't always been able to give while scrambling to fix their lives. Daddy Hedgehog moved too, though not to the burrow he'd once planned. Instead, he found a small garden on the edge of the woods, overflowing with wildflowers that never asked anything of him except to be noticed. Every morning he sat among the petals. Every evening he let himself wonder, what if the timing had been different? What if Mummy Hedgehog had stayed long enough to see how hard he'd tried? What if the life he'd imagined for the three of them had come true? But flowers, in their soft, stubborn way, teach patience. They bloom, they fade, they bloom again, never rushing their own journey. One afternoon, as golden light spilled across the garden, Daddy Hedgehog closed his eyes and realized something gently true. Love doesn't disappear. It transforms. It settles into the heart like seeds waiting for a kinder season. He still missed them, every day, in the quiet and the storms. But he no longer hurt the way he once did. The memories, even the painful ones, had become part of the garden inside him. He whispered into the breeze, I hope they're happy. And he meant it. As he sat there, surrounded by flowers of every color, he placed a paw over his chest and felt the soft thrum of love that would never fade. Mummy Hedgehog, Willow, the family he once held close, the family he would always carry within him. And when the wind rustled through the leaves, warm and gentle, he allowed himself to believe, just for a moment, that maybe they felt him too.